morning, I'm Dustin Rothell with Rothell Home Inspections. I'm InterNACHI CPI, and we're here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we're going to run through a little home inspection. The first thing I like to do when I get here is I like to walk through, turn on all the lights, get my bearings, kind of see where things are, get my oohs and ahs out of the way. So we're going to get started with that. Now, while I'm doing this, if I see anything just glaringly wrong, I'm going to go ahead and make a log of it. You can see up here we need some paint and things like that. And then getting ready to come up these stairs, you can already see we've got no handrails right here and a great big opening. So we're kind of asking for problems with this configuration right here. So we're definitely going to write this up as a safety issue. And then back in here in this little closet, we've got a water heater and we've got a furnace. Give those a quick once over. And I'm also going to make sure I turn on all the exterior lights so I can go ahead and do that when I go outside. All right, so we're up here. This is part of the attic over the garage. It's kind of been converted into an extra storage, shop area. So shouldn't be too much to check out up here, but it's nice because we can see the framing, we can see the decking, we can see all kind of stuff up here because of this. And just gonna give this one a quick once over. And one thing I do is I take lots and lots of pictures of everything. I like the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. So my software I use is an iPhone app that I can also download on my iPad so I can type my reports on there. I use the camera phone and I offload those and save them. But for me, it just keeps everything nice and simple. But you got to take lots and lots of pictures because it will cover you just in case. All right, let's roll through here. So in an attic space, we're not required to check anything that isn't decked. Not that much of a problem here because you can see everything. Now, with that being said, even though we're not required to do it, I'm comfortable walking across rafters. So I make the decision that I'm going to go ahead and do it and go everywhere I can get to. But that's got to be a personal decision because you are running the risk of stepping through the drywall and things like that and other things that can cause damage. So another thing in the attic, you always want to check insulation. Right here, these are 2x6s. So you can see we've got a lot of low spots in here. Could probably use a little upgrade on the insulation. Just like right here, we got maybe an inch or two right there. So probably going to want some more insulation. So we're going to put that on the report. Now over here, we've got a water heater. This is a Rheem 40 gallon. The big things you want to check here, we want to look for corrosion. Don't see any of that. We've got copper lines running. They are insulated. Also, there's a drain pan, and it is set running out. And then we also want to check the TPR valve, the temperature pressure relief. This needs to be piped out to the exterior of the home. And you can see right here, it's not. It's actually going straight down to the drain pan, which is not it's not the right way to do it. It'd be really easy just to run this pipe over here and drop it out the soffit. So we're going to make a recommendation on that. But when I do it, I'm going to take pictures. I take pictures of every tag. I'll get a picture of the whole thing. I take a picture of the tag. I let them know when it was made. This one's from 2021, so it is new. If it's over a certain age, I'll recommend they get it checked out. Everything has a shelf life, and we want to make sure all our bases are covered for our clients. And then over here we've got the furnace. I always take the covers off of these just so we can get a good look at them. So in here, so in here we can see a fair amount of stuff. You see all this? We want to look for signs of cracking, problems like that. I prefer to check these with the heat running, but we're here at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's already 90 degrees outside. So we're not going to run their heater because of the exterior temperatures. But you got a little bit of dust and stuff in here, dirt dauber nest. Um, but all in all, from everything I can look at, it looks pretty good. Now, with that being said, we are going to recommend they get it serviced and cleaned. I pretty much recommend that every time. This equipment is expensive, and they recommend you service and clean it twice a year. So that's going to be my recommendation to the people buying. And then check the date tag up here. This is a Lennox. It is from 1998. So this unit is beyond its expected life. So I'll also make another note of that, just letting them know that it is old and to go ahead and get a good servicing by HVAC company. Another thing I like to do in the attic, I like to get pictures of any roof penetrations. So anywhere we have a turbine, you know, you got a boot. These are usually the most susceptible places for leakage, and I want to be covered if it does start to leak later on. So I make sure I get pictures of this, your furnace vent over here, and you know, just again, we're just covering ourselves with lots of pictures. See if there's anything else back here. Now another thing while we're up here, I like to check the joints out on these ducts just to make sure. You can feel right here, we got a little bit of cold air coming out. Obviously that's a waste of energy trying to condition your attic. So we're gonna make another note of this, that these seams should probably be sealed up a little better. Again, I'm off the decking right now and on the rafters. That's a personal decision you can make. I'm comfortable with it. I'm also a fireman. I spend a lot of time in attics. So to me, it's okay. But you can see here we got some more places that don't have enough insulation. So, and then right here, not really going to be able to get into this space. So, what we're going to do is we're going to look at it the best we can. Maybe there's something I can see, maybe there's not. But the big thing we're going to do is take a picture of it, and we're going to document that we couldn't get into that area. All right, well, now that we've taken care of the attic, we're going to go ahead and come outside and we're going to do the exterior walls and really anything we run into out here. So this house has a little combination. We got some wood siding, looks like cedar. We've got brick veneer. So we're going to kind of run through here and check out these things. Anytime you're dealing with wood, you want to make sure it's sealed. Now, it's not as big of an issue on this particular house because you can see the wood is set back. We've got a nice overhang coming out here. So this wall siding, yes, it should be sealed, and it looks to be in pretty good condition, but I wouldn't say it's as crucial as if it was just like out here on the outside of it. We're going to run through, we're going to check the outlets. And I don't take pictures of every single outlet I check, but I do get a good bit of them. Again, just in case somebody has something to say. Because also in the standards of practice, we are required to check every exterior door. So I always take a picture of all the exterior doors working. All right, so now we're going to continue on with the outside. You can see up here we got some more wood siding that's a little bit more exposed than back there. So right here at this bottom part, you can see we've got some of these trim boards coming off. There's a very good chance that will allow moisture intrusion, and moisture is the enemy of houses. So we're going to want to get those secured. You can even see a couple of gaps where these boards meet up. So definitely something we're going to make a note of and recommend they get it taken care of. As far as gutters go, the gutters from what I've seen look pretty good. When I get up on the roof, I'll look at them a little better. The only thing I don't really love here is this downspout is disconnected. So any rainwater is going to get dumped right there by the foundation. So I would like to see this reconnected and shot out away from the foundation of the home. Yeah. Up here we got another trim board that's loose. So not a big deal, easy fixes, but definitely worth doing. There's a few things that we're not required or trained to check out. One of them is the septic system, which is over here. They've got a big hole dug. I can hear it running. We've got some sprinkler heads out here too. So when I start running water in the house, hopefully we'll build up enough where we can see the sprinkler heads going off. But as I said, at the end of the day, I'm not trained on these, and they're beyond my scope of inspection. So I do look at them. I do look for obvious problems to the best of my abilities. But anytime you do that, you've got to make a note. So that these are beyond the scope, and I always recommend they get a septic company to come out and look at it. Now, I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but in Caddo Parish down here, before any sale of a house can go through, a septic system and a well has to be inspected by the parish. So it will be covered, but still I try to take care of my clients the best I can. Over here, easy fix, but we got this soffit board coming down. So I want to get that put back in place. So when we do these, we're going to look for leaks around the edges. Just make sure everything's doing what it's supposed to, nothing's leaking. I also like to make a note of sewage cleanouts, just for informational purposes, so people know where they're at. So we've got one right here on the east side of the home, next to the house. I'll also check out the cap, make sure it's good and not broken. Over here on this side, you see we got some loose trim. This has a very large gap. It needs some caulk, it needs some paint. So we got quite a few things we're going to say about this little area right here. And then we come over here to one of the condensers. Quite a few things you want to check on these. You want to make sure it's clean. You want to make sure it's level. You want to make sure the condensate line is insulated, which it's partially insulated, partially not. So we'll go ahead and tell them we get that fixed. And then we want to look for the data plate, which will tell us this is a Lennox. It's a 3-ton unit from 2014. It does use the old R22 refrigerant. They are not making any more of that. They're not importing any more of that. So we're going to make a note of that and let them know. And again, same as the furnace upstairs, we want to get this serviced and cleaned by a company. And then we also recommend they do it every year throughout ownership of the home. Back here, you can see we got some more loose boards. Got some more loose trim. The flashing does have some light corrosion on there. That's not a big deal, but maybe a little paint on there or something, just to make it last a little longer. Anytime we come to windows, we want to make sure they're nice and sealed up, just to keep the water out. Now, in our part of the country down here, we have a lot of foundation issues. We sit on a lot of red clay, and it just moves a lot. It dries, it shrinks, it expands. So anytime we're checking out a house, we're always looking for signs of foundation damage. Sometimes we look for cracks in the veneer. We'll check these freeze boards out here, see if anything's pushed out. We always want to check around the windows to see. You know, if you look here and there was an inch gap right here, well, obviously they didn't install it that way. It's nice and flush now, but if there was a gap, that could be a telltale sign of foundation issues. But luckily, I'm not seeing any of that right now. Now, we do have some light surface cracks on this chimney right here, but these look pretty typical, not really concerning there. But we will make a note of it, and if I see more of it or I see more things, I may recommend they get a foundation guy out. But if that's all I see, I'm very confident that that's just normal cracking for this part of the country. Also, as we walk around, one of the other things that is beyond our scope of practice is wood destroying insects. Um, Again, I do look for them, and I do look for damage due to them. We are required to look for that. But with all this wood siding over here, got some more loose stuff. We have a problem with carpenter bees, powder post beetles. We have termites. We have all kind of stuff down here. And while I cannot tell them it is free of termites, I do look for signs of intrusion by them. With carpenter bees, you'll have little holes dug out here. With termites, you might see mud tunnels run up the siding. Powder post beetles will leave little tiny little pinholes in wood. So, but I do you have to make a note on there again since that's not in the scope that you're not qualified to do this, and recommend they get a assessment by a termite guy or another pest control person. So, again, this isn't secured. This isn't really going to do much good. It's also going up. So it's running uphill. It's not going to do exactly how it's supposed to do. So we want to get this worked on a little bit. Again, we just want to get water away from the foundation. Again, we're looking for leaks. We're looking for problems with this. I don't see any. You see around this window right here, they got it nice and sealed up to keep water out. Oh, here we go. All right, over here. So you saw how small those cracks were on the chimney. Now over here, these cracks are big. That's probably half an inch right here, all the way up. Now, a lot of that is probably due to the fact that the foundation is ending right here, and then we're going straight down into brick. So it's probably pushing over this way. And it's actually coming in just a little bit. So now that we're here, probably going to get a foundation guy to come out just to make sure. Again, I'm not overly concerned with it, but you know, we want to cover all of our bases, and foundation problems can be extremely expensive to take care of. So we always want to err on the side of caution with those. A lot of these bricks aren't even secured. The mortar's completely gone. The bricks will come right out. So we want to get this taken care of. This could actually be considered a safety hazard because falling bricks, obviously, hitting somebody in the head. This is probably the well house, but they've got it nice and locked up, so we're not going to be able to really look at anything on there, look for broken pipes, look for things like that, but we are going to document that we can't get into it. These little outbuildings and stuff, they're not really part of the inspection, but I like to look at them anyways, and if there's just something glaringly wrong with it, I'll always put it on the report. Now over here we got our other HVAC, condenser, and we're going to do the same thing we did the other one. We're going to check the condensate lines. These are pretty good. We're looking to see if it's dirty. We'll check the condition of the fins, make sure they're not damaged or anything. And then we're going to give our client the information they need. This one is a Goodman 3-ton from 2014. And this one also uses the R22 refrigerant. Now this one is leaking, but it looks like it's at the connection where the hose is meeting up. So that's going to be a hose problem really, and not a problem with the faucet. Over here on these edges, we could use some sealant just to protect the wood. This is cedar, it'll last a long time, but it does need to be sealed. It does need some maintenance. So, and that'll just go down as a general maintenance comment. Now this right here, this deck, we're not going to be able to see very much of it. It's down low, but to the best we can, we're going to look under there for mud tunnels from termites. We're going to look for deterioration of the post. We don't really want to see direct contact, wood touching the ground. It does look to be treated, so that is good. But we're gonna check it out the best we can. But here we're going to make a note. There's just a lot of this structure that we can't get to. And I can see already we do have some direct contact, which could leave a path for termites to get into the house. But I'm not seeing much of anything else. I don't see any deterioration. So, all in all, I'm pretty happy with that. I just don't like the direct contact. All right, now that we've taken care of the outside, we're gonna go ahead and get up on the roof. So when we come up, the first thing we wanna check how many layers of shingles we have. I don't like double roofs. I don't think anybody does. They're just not a good idea. Over here, I'm gonna check all these nails. So you can see right here that these nail heads are exposed. Really, you're not even supposed to put nails to these rubber boots, but people do it anyways. Not a huge deal, nothing I'm gonna stress out about. But they do have these little gaskets on there. So that'll kind of work in place of that. Now, one of the things is we're not required to get on any roof. So that's kind of, again, another judgment call. I spend a lot of time on roofs, so I'm comfortable with it. We want to check the condition of the shingles. You can see right here we got some very minor granule loss along the ridge. But so far, I'm not really seeing it anywhere else. Now this nail head right here doesn't have a rubber gasket on it, so we're going to want to get that sealed up. But these shingles do look to be in pretty good condition. Things when you're up on the roof, right here, these are sealed up, so that's good. I don't ever turn my back on a roof edge. If you do that, and you don't ever walk backwards either. If you do that, you're kind of asking to fall off the roof. These can be hazardous. So you do have to be careful up here. Now over here along this side, you really want to have a 2-inch gap right here between the siding and the shingles. For one thing, it makes it easier to see the flashing and all that for me. But the other thing is you're putting wood in close contact with a roof surface that's going to be moving water. So that can lead to premature deterioration. You can see we got a little bit of it. Right down here. But it's not really soft. It's not really bad. It's loose too. But I'm going to make a note of it and put it on the report. Ridges and valleys are by far the safest place to walk on a roof. And another thing I do, I always go through, same as in the attic where I take pictures of every roof penetration, I take pictures from the top of it too. Again, we're just trying to cover ourselves in the event that there's a problem after we leave, just to prove we didn't do it. All right, so we have a big old masonry chimney here. Kind of hard to see, but you can see this little area right here where the mortar's deteriorated and these bricks are coming loose. You can also see up on the crown, there's some cracks and things that could let water in. So we're definitely gonna make a note of all that, but we see a spark arrestor, we see a chimney cap. So in general, I'm pretty happy with it. But we definitely want to take care of this mortar and brick situation before things get worse. Now, you can see where there's some deteriorated bricks on here. You can see the cracks where we got loose stuff. Any chimney that is over 30 or 36 inches wide, a chimney this wide should have a cricket on it. They do have a little bit of a cricket. I'd almost like to see it a little bit bigger. But this should do what it's supposed to do, but we're going to make a little note that it may not be an adequately sized cricket, and to get it checked out by a qualified contractor. But it looks to be flashed up nice. You can see everything's done here. It's all sealed up, so I'm really not anticipating any problems out of it. All right, so this roof right here is very walkable, but there's a lot of them that aren't, just because the pitch, they're too steep, maybe the conditions aren't right, they're wet, whatever. For that, I have a drone. Now, one of the things you want to look for with a drone is picture quality and flight time. Also, you got to make sure you get all your licenses for FFA, because they will hammer you if you don't have them. So, this one right here, I love it. It's small, it's compact, it's easy to use, great pictures, and it just takes right off. And I can get anywhere I need to go. It takes pictures, does everything, takes pictures, video, all kind of stuff. The big thing with this is you want to make sure you get a picture of all the planes on it. Get close enough where you can see the condition of the shingles. Now, I have a drone, I use my drone, I love my drone, but I don't personally feel like a drone inspection is as comprehensive as actually getting up there. Now again, roofs can be hazardous. That's a decision everybody's got to make for themselves. That's just my opinion. All right, well now we're out here in the garage. You see we got an overhead door, so we're gonna want to check that out. We're gonna want to send it up. Make sure it's running smooth, make sure it goes up all the way. And then this door should be equipped with laser and pressure sensors. So we're just gonna walk over and kick the laser. Make sure it goes up. Beautiful. And then we're also gonna set this box right here to check the pressure sensors. Some people, when they send that door down, they'll come up and they'll bump it and try to make it go, but you can actually mess the door up that way. It's a lot safer and a lot less likely to cause damage if you send it down on a little piece of 2x4, or I use this little screw box right here. And that is exactly what we want to see. Again, documentation, document. One thing about this garage, you can see most of it. We got a lot of room, but we got these big toolboxes over here. So we're not gonna be able to see these walls. We're not gonna be able to know what's going on there. but we're going to do the best we can. But we are going to document that there's things we just can't see. Down here, I also saw a lot of this going on inside the house. We've got a lot of switches and a lot of outlets that don't have covers on them. That's a safety concern, especially for children. You know, they're exploring the world and they tend to touch things they probably shouldn't. So we want to get these covered. Also, this one's a little loose. The big thing there is you don't want your wires getting loose because then they can heat up and spark and cause all kind of problems. So securing those, putting covers on them is going to be important. Now over here we got the service panel. There's one or two ways you can do it, but you always want to brush it first. So you can either use a tester and see if it's hot anywhere, or you can just use the back of your hand and see if you get any static or anything. But we won't take it off. It is partially labeled. I would prefer to see it fully labeled, so we're going to make that recommendation. Got a main shutoff up here. We do have some AFCI. All right, so we got the panel off. There's a lot of stuff you got to look in here. You want to check your breakers. You want to look at your wire sizes. You got to check your bus bars. You want to look at your type of wiring. If it's aluminum wiring, we've now got a different set of things we got to deal with. And this one does have some aluminum wiring. Now, I'm not seeing any melted wires. I'm not really seeing it where it looks like it's causing any problems. Now this is just here. Obviously there's a lot more wires running everywhere else. But because of that, I'm going to recommend they get it evaluated by a licensed electrician as a safety precaution. Just because, like I said, aluminum does have some defects that copper just doesn't. One of the big things in here, don't touch anything. I don't like putting my hands in here. I don't like putting tools in here, especially not metal tools that can electrocute you. But everything I'm looking at looks okay. When I'm doing an inspection, I like to go by systems. So I do the HVAC system. I do the water heaters. I come in here, I do all the appliances. Some people like to move in a pattern, so maybe they start here and they walk around the house and they just hit everything they go. I prefer to do it this way. It makes it easier for me. But in here with all the appliances, so we got a double oven over here. We always want to make sure there's nothing in there. We'll go ahead and hopefully turn these on. All these things work a little bit different. Sometimes you got to do some figuring on them. Dishwasher. I like to run a short cycle on these. I don't feel like they need a... All right, I think we got that going. Over here, I always like to run some water. While I'm here at the kitchen sink, I'm going to go ahead and set this to hot, hopefully, so I can make sure this water heater is working. And then I'll periodically check for hot water in a few other places. But here I actually want to take a temperature. There we go. It's getting colder for some reason. All right, we'll give that a few minutes to heat up. While we're here, we can go ahead and run the food disposer. And we'll let that run for a couple minutes just to make sure there's no leaks. Give it plenty of time to get water working through the pipes. We've got our refrigerator, ice maker over here. Obviously there's ice in there, so it is working. But we're going to document it. Over here at the range. That's working. There we go. So everything's looking good on that. The grills look clean. All right, all that looks good. We got a nice blue flame on there. No worries with that. And one little word of advice, always try to leave everything exactly the way you found it. I don't like people to know I was here except for... Alright, so we should have had plenty of time over here. Alright, that's weird. Okay, so we're not getting a very good temperature reading off of this. We'll try it somewhere else, but we should have hotter. Disregard, I had it set in the wrong place. We got good hot water. Why are we sputtering? I'm not supposed to do that. And again, we're going to document. This thing shoots off a red laser you can clearly see. So I like to get the temperature reading of it and make sure you can see that red dot in there. That way, if anybody has any questions, they know for a fact I checked it. And now that we've done that, we want to get under the sink. We're going to look for any water coming out. We're going to feel for it, especially down here. It's pretty crowded. So we are looking for water that might be leaking out of here. And I'm not seeing or feeling any. So one of the things I do is I always take a picture of water running, and I take a picture of water not coming out. And I do it consecutively. That way they can see that it was actually running while we were here. Refrigerators are not really required as a part of the inspection. This thing is a monster. I doubt it's going anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and check it out. Again, we're going to take temperature readings on it. On both sides. There's no water, there's no ice on there, so we really just need to check the temperature on either side. It's easy, and you're helping out your client. So we can come over here now and see what we're looking at. Now this house is all electric, there is no gas at all. So we're nice and hot over here. Pretty much up to temperature, which is what we want to see. Very important, always make sure you turn anything off. You don't want to have anything running. Okay. And this is running. You can see the water over here. The water's dripping out, so it's good to know this thing is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Now, since we're in the kitchen, I just go ahead and knock this part of the house out. I get pictures of every wall. Take pictures of the lights. We got a couple of them out. Not a big deal, but we're going to let the people know just in case. And I'm going to go ahead and take my tester with my GFCI on it. And we're going to check all these out. Islands are required to have GFCI. This one does not. This house is a little bit older. It likely predates that. I'm going to make sure before I say anything about it on the report. But you have to inspect a house at the time it was built. There was a time when GFCI protection was not required in the kitchen. There's a time when it wasn't required anywhere at all. And regardless of that, though, I am going to recommend that they get an upgrade. So, see over here at this sink, we do have it. And it does work. One of the things about a house where people are living in it, unless I know where something trips to, I don't trip it. One of the biggest reasons home inspectors get sued is over food. So maybe they trip an outlet that their freezer was hooked onto, and the people don't catch it, they don't reset it, and all the food gets spoiled. So now you owe somebody a bunch of money for a bunch of venison or some other animal they hunted and killed. So, same thing over here. I can pretty confidently say it's coming to this plug, so we're going to trip it. And then we're going to come straight away and reset it. All right. So now that we're done in the kitchen with all the appliances, I usually go to plumbing after this. Now again, I'm kind of all over the place. I don't follow a set pattern running around the house. Anytime we come into a bathroom to check the plumbing, we always want to start off here, make sure we got hot water coming, which we do. Got good cold water. And then I turn them both on. And I always take this picture right here, where you can clearly see both of the valves are on, and you can see that clear water is coming out. We had an issue with my dad, me and him doing inspections together, and they did some plumbing work after the inspection, which messed it up, and now you had dirty brown water coming out. And the plumber tried to blame him for it. Well, he had this picture right here that showed good clear water coming out of it, and was able to prove it wasn't his fault. So, we take a picture of it running. I take a picture of the sink holding water, and then I send it down. And again, same thing, we're going to look under here. We're checking for leaks, any water dripping out, any water down here on the floor. We're not getting any of it. And then with the toilets, obviously you want to make sure they flush. But then you also want to kick them a little bit. You can see how loose this is. So these things sit on a flange with a wax seal usually. The more they move, the more likely they are to leak. Also, you can see around the ring right here, nothing's caulked. So it's an easy fix. But again, general maintenance, we want to make sure it does get fixed. And since we're in here, I'll go ahead and check out this window. It works. Check the vent in here. Knock out some pictures. Check this outlet. And we can shut it off because we're done in this room. And then we're going to do the same thing in here. Now this one's nice and easy. The stopper's not here. Easy fix, not a big deal, but we're going to take a picture of that and document it. Come back to the toilet. We're going to kick it again. Sorry, not kick it. Bad use of words. This one's not as loose, but it is a little bit loose. And then over here in this tub as well, the stopper's missing, not working. But when you check these, we want to look for any cracks, any problems, any places where if you run this shower, water could get behind. This is all a solid piece, so in this instance, we're not going to have to worry about that. We're not going to have to worry about loose tiles or anything that could let water behind other than cracks, and I don't see any of those anywhere. Both of our shower heads are working. There's nothing leaking back here, nothing spraying out, so we're happy with this. And the vent is working. We've already talked about these handrails here. To me, this is a recipe for disaster. Somebody walking and falling off this thing right here. But we're also going to make note of these. These are little cosmetic things. It's like somebody maybe punched some holes in here and fixed it, but they haven't painted it. Up here, you got some missing trim. And we're going to make a note of that it does need some cosmetic work. More stoppers that don't work. Hot water. Alright, this one here, a little loose too. Not bad, but. And then, same thing here. So, at this point, I would probably just make a general comment that there's numerous or multiple loose toilets and to secure them rather than getting specific about it. I'd also say multiple sink and tub stoppers are not working. This stopper is working. It is holding water, so we're going to take a picture of it. You can see up here, along this right here, you see this crack on the mud. Normally what that is a humidity issue. The shower puts off a lot of moisture, a lot of warm air, and it goes straight up, which can rain death on your drywall. The mud and all that. You're taping float seams. The vent in here is working, but I don't think it's working very well. It doesn't seem to be doing enough. I don't feel any suction. Also, there's no cover on there. So we're going to make a little note of that. And then this unit right here, this heater vent, looks to be completely abandoned. I don't see any switches for it. I don't see any controls anywhere. So we're going to make a note of that it's not working. And that it's likely purposely been abandoned. But so in here, got some more missing trim. We got some of this trim right here. They haven't finished that. It hadn't been caulked or painted. So we're going to throw that in there in our comment about the cosmetic work that needs to be done. And we got some more plugs that don't have covers on them. Again, easy fix. Probably cost you about 23 cents a piece at Home Depot. So easy fix. Here, this stopper isn't working either. And neither is this one. Works. A little loose too. It looks like we're going to get wet today. And again, I can't reiterate this enough. Take pictures of everything. Down here, this is a tile and grout bathroom, so we want to look for any cracks in the grout. We want to look for loose tiles. Down here, all these mortar joints look good. The mortar for the floor looks good. So I don't see anywhere that water can get through. Check for loose tiles. I'm not feeling any. I think I'm happy with that. Here on this side of the house, it's got two separate water heaters. This one right here, about the same condition as the other one. I'm gonna say it's probably about the same year too. I always try to get a picture of the data plate. And this one is a Ream from 2021, so it's just about brand new. The same thing as the other one. We want to look for signs of corrosion on the piping. We want to check this TPR valve and make sure it's piped out to the outside of the house. Which, same as the other one, it's going down to a drain pan. I would prefer to see the whole pipe go out, so we're going to make a note of that. You can see up here we do have some signs of moisture damage. That staining right there along that pipe, that does look to be pretty old. But we're going to make a little note of it. I'm very certain it's not active, but just in case. Other than that, the water heater looks good. We'll just recommend they get that TPR taken out care of. And the drain pan is piped out, so we're pretty happy with that. Now in here, these systems, we see them a lot upstairs. It gets really hot down here, and upstairs is usually pretty difficult to keep cool. So again, not really part of the inspection. I'm gonna try to make it work. Looks like it is. Let's see. And we got cold air coming off of it. So, take a picture of it. I left my temperature thing downstairs, but we'll get a picture of it with the temperature coming off of it just to cover ourselves. And since we're up here and we've knocked out all the bathrooms, at this point we're just going to go ahead and start walking, and we're going to get everything. I like to get pictures of all the walls, all the ceilings, anything that could be a problem. Closets are usually full of stuff. So you are limited on what you're going to see, so you do need to make the client aware of that. But we want to check up here, look for signs of moisture damage, suspected molds, things like that. But you don't want to be really intrusive. You don't want to go snooping through their stuff. But you do need to make sure you look for problems. So there is a line you got to toe. They do have gas furnaces. So we're going to check their CO detectors. Also their smoke detectors. I think they had one out here. The standard for down here, if they were to rebuild this house right now, they would put a smoke detector inside of and one outside of every bedroom. So you'd have one in here somewhere, probably one out in this hallway, one in this other bedroom. So that's the standard we're going to follow, and that's the recommendation we're going to make. They may need extra smoke detectors. And we're also going to run through and pick all the plugs. Now, when I'm doing these, there's going to be some outlets, especially in a house that you live in. There's going to be some outlets. There's going to be some windows. There's going to be some things you simply can't get to, and that's okay. You get to everything you can. We're not required to move anything. Plus, I don't like moving other people's stuff anyways, because I don't think I'd like anybody moving mine. All right, are we stuck? We're not. Now, one thing I'm seeing, we don't have any window screens here. That's always something that usually comes with windows. These windows are pretty old, So there's a good chance that over the years they just wore out and got replaced. But we are going to go ahead and make a note that a lot of windows are missing their screens. Down here, like I said, it's brutally hot 9 months out of the year. People don't normally open their windows and rely on their AC, but still, you never know. This house has two HVAC units, systems, one for the upstairs here and one for the rest of the house. So we're going to do the same thing we did here on the other one. We're going to take the cover off. We're going to check the heat exchanger the best we can. Most of it you can't see anyways, but we're going to give it a gander. We're going to get our pictures of it. Get a picture of the information plate. And that's just for our clients to know what they're dealing with. This one is from 1998 as well. So it is a little older. So same as the other one, we're gonna recommend a good evaluation by an HVAC contractor along with their servicing and cleaning. You know, the CO and the smoke detectors. With smoke, you know, if there's a house fire, at least there's smoke, there's heat, there's things that'll give it away. So you'll have a chance. But the CO, carbon monoxide, you don't have a fighting chance with it, especially if you're asleep. About the only sign you're going to get is a headache before you eventually succumb to it. And if you're asleep, you may not get any signs at all. So making sure when there's gas-fueled appliances that your CO detectors are working and there's an adequate number of them, and making sure your smoke detectors are good is very important to me. It's an easy step, but it's definitely worth taking. So now at this point, we're pretty well done with all the major stuff. Now we're just going to take a little walk around the house. I like to make one walk clockwise and then one walk counterclockwise. And what we're going to look at this point is walls, windows, outlets, things like that, damage, cracks in the drywall, paint, things like that. So we'll just start. Actually, I'll take that back. Let's do the laundry room first. So in Louisiana, we're not required to check out the washer and dryer, but what we do check out is the power sources if we can get to them. So can't really see that. I don't have just a whole lot of room here, but I can see that's good. The water source is way down there in comparison to this washer. I can kind of see it. I don't see any signs of leakage or any water in there. So we're going to do the best we can. And then the 220 plug, that is way down there. We're not going to be able to reach it, so we're not going to be able to test that. So we'll make a note of it. Now, one thing with these, especially these exterior doors, we want to make sure that they seal all the way around. So it's got weather stripping in there. It needs to keep the outside out. So we're looking for daylight around the entire edge. And here I'm not seeing any. Also, we want to check this reveal out here and make sure it's more or less in a straight line. You know, if this is way up here and this side's hanging down half an inch, could be a loose hinge, could be it needs some longer screws in there for the frame. But something needs to be fixed there. But this one's looking great, so no worries there. Right here, this pane has a nice crack in it. So we're going to let them know about that. Now, two things. This light in here, I haven't been able to find a switch to make it work yet. It probably works, but I've checked everything I can get to, and I can't find a control for it. So we are going to make a note of this. but we are going to word it in a way that it could be that I just couldn't find the switch. Also, the thermostat for the HVAC system upstairs, we could not find that either. So we're going to make a note of that so they can get with the owner and try to get that located. But it's definitely working, and it definitely has one. Some more closets. With their fans, I like to run them full blast. Oh, here's the controls. Not for long, just a minute, just to see what they do. Make sure it's not wobbling around too much. So we'll set it there and see what it does. You are not required, at least in Louisiana, you're not required to open blinds. Again, I do it. Right here we are missing a lock. It still has one lock, but we're going to make a note of that anyways. As always, take lots of pictures. All right, most of the outlets in here are covered up, so we're not going to be able to get to a few of them. And down here they say with outlets and windows, you're required to inspect a representative number per room. I think that means one outlet and one window per room. But I like to get everything I can get to, even if I'm not required to check it. You can see we've got a big TV in front of them. There's things that can break. I'm not going to move breakable stuff out of the way to be able to check the windows. I don't want to buy this guy a new TV. It's nothing personal, but oh. All right, so this window is supposed to be able to hold itself up, but you can see it is not. So we're gonna make a note of that. We don't want somebody to try to open the window and drop it on themselves or anything. All right, there's nothing else in this room I can really get to. Over here we got another outlet missing its cover. Not a big deal, but something we definitely want to take care of. If you go unplugging anything to check an outlet, make sure it's nothing crucial. Like if it's hooked up to Wi-Fi or it's hooked up to something that seems important, then don't unplug that. This one right here is running over to this foot massager, so I'm okay with undoing that one. But a lot of people's alarm systems work off of Wi-Fi, and we just don't want to mess anything up. All right, so the fireplace here, it's pretty much all masonry. And I can already tell you, because of the condition of the fireplace outside with all the cracks and places for water to get in, I can tell you I'm going to go ahead and just automatically recommend they get a fireplace guy out just to check it. But you can look back here. We've got some cracking going on all the way down. Some of this brick is spalled, some more cracking over here. And we've also got a little buildup of creosote in here. Creosote is flammable. It can cause chimney fires, and it's also a carcinogen. So I'm going to recommend they get this cleaned and inspected by a licensed chimney guy. The other thing, it also has a gas lighter bar in here, so let me get my lighter. I always carry an extra key just in case I can't find theirs, but you can get these at any hardware store for pretty cheap. So it is working, but you can see right here along this joint, we've got a lot of flame coming out of here. And I suspect that somewhere at these threads where it screws in, we might have a small leak right here that's letting more gas come out than it's supposed to. Now we're getting a little better look at it. But yeah, this right here is likely not supposed to be putting gas off at this section. So we're going to recommend they get that looked at too. Another thing you want to look at with these, sometimes, and this one doesn't have it, they'll have an extra cutoff valve here. So you always want to check that out. Make sure it's not melted or anything's wrong with it. And make sure we turn this gas all the way off. That is very important. And then come back and run some more flames through here just to make sure nothing's leaking out, because you don't want to leave the gas on in their house. So with the chimney, like I said, we're going to, just because of the condition of the flue and all that, or the masonry on the outside, the cracks in here, the buildup of creosote, we're going to definitely want to get them to get a chimney guy out. Part of the reason I do some of the stuff that I'm not required to do, like moving blinds and all that, and walking over rafters in the attic, is I try to think what I would expect a home inspector to do for me. I know that if I didn't know the rules and didn't know the regulations and didn't know the scope of practice, I'd be pretty aggravated if a home inspector said he didn't check my windows because the blinds were in the way. But again, that's personal decision. We can all run our businesses how we want to. So that right there really comes to the end of it. The last thing I'm going to do before I leave is I'm going to walk the opposite direction. So we walk this way around the house. Now I'm going to walk it this way. And we'll pay special attention to everything. Just look for anything I possibly could have missed. Yeah, and like I said, we're not going to see anything we haven't seen here already. Also, at this point here pretty soon, we're going to start having clients show up. Personally, I don't care how the clients want to handle it. Normally they come at the end. Sometimes they come and hang out with us for the whole inspection. That's really up to them. But we're going to do a walkthrough. We don't mandate them or anything, but I highly encourage walkthroughs. What it does, it lets them come down here with us, and we can walk them around. They can physically put their eyes on what we find, and we can explain it to them in person. You know, you can give a report. If you write your report well enough, then it'll definitely be adequate to get them across, but there's some people in this world who don't even know which way to turn a screwdriver. And those people especially, we want to be able to bring them in here. We can explain, you know, in our opinion, how big of a problem something is, whether it's a safety issue, whether it's, you know, general maintenance that has to be done. I really like the walkthroughs, and I think they're great. All right, well, guys, I want to thank y'all for watching. Again, I'm Dustin Rothell, a CPI with InterNACHI and co-owner of Rothell Home Inspections. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the condition of this house. There is some stuff that needs to be taken care of, some general maintenance, you know, the trim outside, the electrical outlets, the masonry on the chimney. We got some cracks over here. But all in all, there's nothing to me that's just screaming a huge problem. And if you guys need any further education, please go to nachi.org. They have everything you need, classes, continuing education, videos, anything you could possibly need. It's a great resource. I love it. And thank you for watching.